12 nautical miles from the Indian shores, uh, which means that any movement of goods which is within the territorial waters of India and into the landmass of India, those were considered as imports. The consequence of this was that if you decide to do fishing beyond the territorial waters of India, any fishes which were brought into the territorial waters of India and into the landmass of India was considered as imports. Just look at it that strategically, India has a coastline of around 11,000 square kilometers. The exclusive economic zone of India is close to 25,000 square kilometers. And we've left that part of the exclusive economic zone, which is rich in fishes and in marine life. And the Prime Minister in 25 talked about something called the blue economy.
And skills and expertise point of view. One example is the special provisions relating to fishing and fishing related activities. It looks so complex and cumbersome, but and it did trigger the question. And to extend to this question, just from an accounting or auditing point of view, do you foresee any risk as far as the accounting and the auditing of this new tax proposal from where you are sitting? And lastly, in as much as the tax proposals have been mentioned to be good and balanced, but in all of these things, there's always winners and losers. What would you say are the biggest losers when it comes to these new proposals? Thank you.
I think very elaborate question in that sense. Thank you so much. The first one was regarding giving a perspective of how you think that you foresee implementing some of these changes which have been made. I think any changes now, at least on the GST side, at least on the indirect tax side, can't be done in isolation. India being a federal country, and we maintain that federalism despite the fact that we have the states have let go of their powers. So whenever any amendment happens, it's especially in the indirect tax law, there's always a precursor to that, which is what? The GST Council. The GST Council is a council of ministers of every state. So all the states in India come together for a GST Council meeting every quarter, where they decide what are the changes that are expected to happen, and from those council meetings the changes are approved. Thereafter they are brought to the central government level, where they will assent in the finance, they will get the presidential assent for the Finance Act. Thereafter it goes to the state legislative assembly, and the state legislative assembly also has to approve those changes. Is when these changes are amended and incorporated and it becomes a law.
To keep the interest rates down, because of heavy borrowing, the interest rates tend to go up. They have kept the fiscal deficit to 4.3%, which is very good. So they are trying to control it also. So having said that, we are talking about infrastructure. There is a very good infrastructure push in this budget. India lacks in transportation or freight costs, because our freight costs are higher than our competitors. For example, we are 13% of our cost, by China is at 8%. So our goods which are produced in India tend to be of higher price. They are higher price because the cost is higher, freight is higher. So normally waterways are the best transportation mode for cost-wise if we take, because they are 20% of the road cost and half the cost of railway freight. So this time there is heavy emphasis on this water transportation, and 20 waterways are to be developed. This is very good for the country.
Extend the credit, increase the balance sheet. So that's why small savers are being protected, and for them to come into the formal banking channel rather than the capital markets. That's my first submission on why this has been done. The other one on the capital gains on the part on SGB, the sovereign gold bonds, where on the secondary market it is to, as a matter of fact, the the SGB, though the individuals like me or you are owning it, it's actually government which is holding those gold. Now, eventually they're going to mature over a period of time. It's 8 years maturity for SGB, and the volatility, the price which is there, it's far too much, and it's like a liability or an obligation to the government. Now they want to arrest that, and that's why the secondary market transaction on the purchase and sale of SGB is a deterrent again to arrest the price. So largely my submission is to ensure that more formalized way of using money in the banking sector, pulling the money from the banking sector to the banking sector.
If you see post-COVID also, India did not give too much of fiscal stimulus. Okay, when most of the other economies did, we did not. And actually, like FiCCi mentioned, we were in that trajectory of reducing our fiscal deficit, and not just fiscal deficit. We are in this phase when globally most of the economies, including the developed economies, they are struggling with this issue of high government debt. And for most of, be it US, UK, a lot of EU economies, there the debt is going up, and that's a big concern for them, because so far in the past they have enjoyed very low interest rate, and hence their interest payment burden has been low. But now that interest rate for those economies globally would still be higher, the interest payment burden is going to be a big challenge for them.